Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is Real Talk with Coach Sherry. And today it's Saturday, and typically I do not do videos on the weekends because that's my time to R&R, rest and relax. But I have been up and about all morning since before the crack of dawn, and I'm really on my grind. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this video. And I know I am clean faced. I don't have any eyeliner or mascara on, which is all I typically wear, but I do feel kind of like not myself without my makeup on. But you know, you guys are getting to know who I am, and this is who I am without my eyeliner on. But I also started to think about, you know, more about me, because as I'm going through and meeting new people here in YouTube and, you know, listening in and tuning into playlists, I'm noticing that people have all about me videos, and I don't think I have an all about me video. And so I wanted to make this video so that you can know a little bit more about who I am. As long as you're going to rock with someone, I think it is important to know exactly who you're rocking with. So, just to give you kind of like an overview, I feel like I've lived my life thus far in two phases. And the first phase, of course, is when I was a lot younger. I grew up in a small town right outside of New York City. And I had an amazing experience growing up. It was a diverse community, you know, very supportive, family oriented. And, I want to say the majority of the families were doing pretty good. There were a lot of people in my community, a lot of Black families who were business owners, who were in education, lawyers, doctors, a variety, you know, blue collar, just everyone was doing their thing, wanted a great upbringing or environment for their families. So it was, you know, a very supportive community. Everyone kept everything clean. They took pride in their homes. My block in particular, we would have block parties every summer that were well attended. And I played on a basketball team with the same girls from 4th grade until 12th grade. We played rec ball together. We're on all-star teams together, middle school and high school ball. And they were like my extended family, especially their parents and siblings. And we had a great run. The majority of us, I was going to say all, but the majority of us actually made it to the Hall of Fame for our high school because we were really, really good. You can imagine the synergy that we had. You know, of course, I worked in my family's business. They owned and operated 2 flower shops in 2 different towns. My parents not only owned the business, they owned the building and the property, which was a huge deal for them to do. It was a lot of hard work. My parents, they hired many heads of households, which, you know, as I look back, I'm very proud of that. You know, they were part of other families because they hired, you know, the father or the mother, and really what they did was definitely a game changer. They skilled up people who were not familiar with that industry and gave them skills that they were able to transfer even beyond what they did for my family. Then also growing up in that area, you know, I just remember after school, because New York was so close, we could just hop on the bus and go to the Bronx, to Fordham Road, to Delancey Street, to Harlem. It was just a bus and train ride away. It was really, really something special. I went to a lot of concerts. I had a really good friend whose mom was that mom that would take us to concerts. So when New Edition started, they were my favorite. And from middle school up, I went to every New Edition concert. Wherever they were, we were there. Not only did I go see New Edition, I saw Luther Vandross, Shirley Murdoch. My brother would take me to the Budweiser Superfest every year. I remember Ashford and Simpson when they sang Solid as a Rock for the first time they performed it. Remember that song, Solid, dun, 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 as a rock. Yeah, I was there when they performed it for the very first time, and we'll go to the Apollo Theater to see Amateur Night. Even the Def Jam comedy that Russell Simmons used to have, I went to the live tapings for that. Let me see. Oh, there was a roller skating rink around the corner from my house, literally walking distance that we would walk to. It was called The Rink, and many rappers back in the day would come and perform there. And so in the beginning of the evening, everyone would be roller skating, and then at a certain time, like around 10 o'clock or so, they cut off where you couldn't skate anymore. It would just be like a big party, and in the middle is where they would have the rappers perform. So like LL Cool J, Run DMC, Grandmaster Flash, Furious 5, just a host, Kool Moe Dee. They would just come and perform, and that was around the corner from my house. And I remember sometimes, like after the rink, going to my best friend's house, and she lived on the main road going towards the rink. You'd see the rappers leaving, like LL Cool J. I remember stopping in front of her house saying, "What's up?" You know, it was just like that around there. There was so many celebrities. You know, Eddie Murphy didn't live far. My parents had a lot of them coming through to the shop, buying flowers. We would see them in the church, you know, be it the Giants, the Knicks, the Nets, basketball and football players. It was a lot going on up there, up top, we like to call it. And then I went off to college. I went to the very first HBCU in the country. If you know what that is, leave a comment below. I want to test your history, your Black history a little bit. And I had a great experience there. It was definitely a grooming ground. We had people from all over the world come all the time on campus to speak to us about what was going on internationally and how it affected us nationally. I have people that I've connected with, that I'm still connected with because of that experience in undergrad. I remember one of the graduations, Rosa Parks was the speaker. I got to meet her. You know, it was just a great time. That's of course where I pledged, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So yeah, I'll have a lot of great memories from that. And after college, I went on and came back home, got a job, landed a great job in New York on Wall Street as an editor for an environmental law firm. And I was working on a campaign for a woman who was running for mayor of one of the cities near my hometown. I also gave back and coached basketball at the rec league where I got my start playing basketball. And so I had an all-star team there that, oh my goodness, those girls were great. They turned out to be great. You know, they were the best first team to coach for me. They were 11 and 12-year-olds. And then at that time, I also started dating my husband. Well, he was my boyfriend then. And it was just a great time, you know? And that is just the beginning of that phase, because then I went on about 4 or 5 years after college. I did get married to my husband. We ended up moving all over from LA, St. Louis, New Orleans, and landed in Charlotte and decided to call this home. I didn't want to just be his wife because he did play in the NFL, and you know, if you are affiliated or married to a professional athlete, people tend to not really pay attention to whoever they're with. You know, you're just like an afterthought. But I remember when we first went to New Orleans, and I believe it was the general manager, and he was like, "Well, what do you do?" And I'm thinking, well, first of all, I live so far away from anything. I don't know anyone here because we just got there. And I decided I was always going to have a response for if someone asked me, "What do you do?" So I started my own business. I had a really great business. I was doing scholarship sourcing for students all over the world. And that was very lucrative and kept me very busy. I also inspired other wives to get into the business and to do their own business, you know, just not to be satisfied with being such and such's wife. I remember asking one of the players' girlfriends that they lived together, and I said, "Well, how do you feel when people ask you, what do you do?" Because she did nothing. And she said, I feel fine about it. You know, I say such and such doesn't want me to work. I don't work. I don't do nothing. I don't have to. And I was like, wow, that's an interesting posture to have regarding that. But I always wanted my own thing. I felt like I had a lot of value, so I wanted to showcase that I can stand on my own. So I always had my own business. It couldn't be a brick and mortar because you just never know in that industry if you're going to stay with the team, stay in that city or whatever. So I typically would establish my business in New Jersey and be able to do it remotely. My oldest brother, he was very integral in helping me maintain it and manage it from the New Jersey side of things. So I was, very grateful for that because he was a big help with that. We had to mail a lot of things back and forth. This is before internet. This is before a lot of things. We had to do a lot of faxing, snail mail, and things of that nature. But then I became a mom. We were married for about 4 years before we had our first child, our son. And, being a mother was everything. I had to really put a lot of things on pause with what I was doing because my business was starting to have me travel as well. And so I put that on pause. And after our second child was born, a year later, my husband retired. And so upon him retiring, he was thinking about other things like his next steps. And we got involved in real estate and did extremely well with real estate, started to buy a lot of properties. For him, I think buying the properties was a competition. You put your bid in, you may or may not win. He was very competitive. So a lot of our bids we won. We ended up with 29 homes. And upon obtaining those homes, we decided to expand even more, and we got into real estate development. And when we got into real estate development, you guys, I promise you, it felt like my brain was blowing up because that was so far beyond my imagination in terms of things I could do. I ended up being the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, as well as the Director of Sales and Marketing for our community project. We had 104 homes slated for a community, a 55 and older adult community with ranch style condominiums. And our kids, I think our oldest child might have been 5. And then we had 2 others under him. So being a mom, a wife, and holding those titles and being responsible for bringing in investors to invest millions of dollars into that project, it was, and I was young. I was probably 33, 34 years old. It was incredible. And at the same time, we were upfitting 2 laundromats. So it was a consuming, mentally, it was very draining. We were successful in it because that's just how I work. It's like, I don't want to stop until I get it done, especially if it's a project or, something that I'm charged to do. It was really it was really great, and that's something that will last forever. But after that, I had to go into my closet and I was praying to God, like, what do you have for me? I needed something that would give me peace. And so I started to design jewelry, not for business, just for pleasure. And a friend of mine who worked for Essence magazine, or actually Time Warner, that was over Essence, came to visit from New York one day and was like, you need to sell these. And next thing I know, I have this thriving jewelry business with sales consultants all over the East Coast, and was having big orders placed for, large corporations, designing jewelry for clothing trunk shows, and also customizing jewelry for brides. And you guys, that became overwhelming for me too, because that's not what I was really doing the jewelry business for. It was really to get my mind, having something to put my mind into another place, just to, like almost like a mindless thing, just something to do. And it just turned into this amazing business that ultimately I sold. I sold it to one of my consultants in Atlanta because I wasn't prepared for how big it got. It was unbelievable how big it got. It was a blessing, but I wasn't really prepared for that business to jump off like that. I was just, like I said, prepared for it to be a hobby. At any rate, you guys, I feel like I'm running out of time because I'm only at 15 minutes for my videos, but I won't be able to go into the second phase of my of my life that I'm currently living in. So I'm going to have to make a part 2 to this. So this is the first phase of All About Me. And I hope that you got some nuggets, a better insight of who I am, how I came to be. I know there's some other pieces in there that I'm missing because I didn't just coach in New Jersey. I also coached a basketball team in New Orleans. Being Coach Sherry started from me coaching my first team back in 1991, I want to say it was. And all those girls are grown, married with children. But at any rate, I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit more about me, my first phase. And if you please leave a comment, and especially if you know the name of the first HBCU in this country, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you so much for all of my subscribers. I really appreciate you rocking with me. And until next time, you guys, please stay safe. And remember, this has been Real Talk with Coach Sherry.